Do you have extra 12 by 12 scrapbook papers laying around? I know I do. If you'd like to make one of these cute little folio journal happy mail things, let's do it. Hi, I'm Karen with Black Swan Journals, and if you'd like to make one of these, I'm going to flip through this one that I just made and then show you how I made it. I've been absent from crafting and YouTube for about 2 months. I was very unwell, but I'm completely recovered and getting physically stronger. So I wanted to get back into it with doing something simple and just using up many of my scrapbook papers that I have and kind of mass making a bunch of these little mini folios or mini journals or little happy mails or whatever you would like to use them for. They could be so many things. They're just so adorable. So all I did was take one 12 by 12 scrapbook paper and cut it into quarters. I'm going to show you after the flip through here. And with each of those quarters, we fold them in half and then we make this little mini folio, aka journal, aka happy mail. And I ended up with quite a few of them, and they were so quick and easy to make the bases. And I decided to use up some of my little pieces like this right here, the butterfly and the pocket beneath it. The tags I made from junk mail, and the little flip out here coming up on the right I made from packaging. Actually, not from junk mail, they're all from packaging. And I just wanted to add a little bit of my own flavor to it in the end, but I started out just kind of wanting to use like little pieces of pre-made ephemera, like the butterfly and the one beneath it and the, with the rose in the pocket. I did stamp the bee on there. But anyway, yeah, this was a piece of packaging, and this as well. And we make these together coming up, so I'll show you how. And I always just sort of ink the backs of my packaging and leave them blank for journaling, because I really do use my journals for writing, but I really love them to be really pretty and inspirationally just ready to make me want to write my dreams or get out frustration or just memory keep of what I did, all of these things. So yeah, there it is. So here, at the end of this video, that sunflower mat, that placemat, beaded placemat, is a journal I'm making, and there's a little flip through of the beginning of it coming up at the end. So here's the 12 by 12 papers that I used, and I think I have had this for maybe a year or two, so I just wanted to show it to you, and just in case it's in production. And I wanted to mention you could easily use 8 by 8 papers as well, or 6 by 6 papers that are already cut and sold as 6 by 6. Either of those would be great. But I happen to have 12 by 12. So here's a scoreboard. We'll also need one of these. And I've already gone ahead and cut mine and scored mine, but I just wanted to do a little simulation here if you don't know how. You just take it, and in this case, after you cut them into quarters, you'll end up having 4 pieces of 6 by 6 squares, and you'll just score them right down the center, which would be the 3-inch mark, and then you make a little fold. It would help to have scissors. It would really help to have a paper trimmer, but you can do it with scissors if not. And if you want to ink your edges, it helps to have some inks and a little sponge dauber or a makeup sponge or a little brush. Here's some little foam pads that I change out when I change my colors. I need to buy some more of those handles. I've been being frugal and only having one or two, but it's getting to be a pain. I'm going to break down and get a few more, I think. And you don't need to, but I'm just showing you if you happen to have any stamps, you can use those too. And here's some of the packaging that I have a video on this where I take a bunch of packaging and I mass make bases for ephemera for my journals. And I can link it at the end of this video if you want to see it. So I've got a few of those here that I'm going to be using. So here's a bunch of those little folded papers I was talking about. These all came from one sheet of 12 by 12. So here's one I already made. We're going to make one though in a second. I just want to show you one. This is what it looks like. There's a pocket on the front, pocket on in the middle there on the front, and then on the back page there in the middle. So here's a bunch that I've cut, and you end up with these little 6 by 6 squares. And we're going to cut those little holes in the middle there too in a second. So yeah, I just wanted to show you all these little 6 by 6 squares. And what I ended up doing was mixing up, and here you can choose to do this so that you can get into your pockets easier. You don't have to do that, but you can. It does make it easier to get in and out of the pocket, and it also makes it identifiable that there is a pocket. But anyway, so now we're going to start to construct one. But I just wanted to mention, I wanted mine to look different and mixed up patterns in different patterns. So I just chose different pieces of the 6 by 6 squares that originated from the 12 by 12 sheets, if you follow me. And then that way you get this look that I have here. So yep, just follow what I'm doing here. And we're going to glue it down. So you end up with, that's going to be your front cover. It'll be your first page here with a pocket. This will be your second page here with a pocket. And this will be your last page, which is also your back cover. And there it is. So now to glue it down, I usually just kind of lay it out. I'm going to move this one aside for now just to get it out of the way and work on this side first. And the key here is to line up the middle piece, the yellow piece, to line that up to the right of the score line on the purple piece, because you don't want to glue into the score line. It would make it difficult to fold and bulky. So just make sure you glue right to the right of the score line and not into the score line. And then I just kind of hold mine to the side here. So now I ran out of my art glitter glue, so I'm just using a different kind of glue right now. But the key here is a very, very skinny bead of glue. And you want a really good, fast gripping glue here. I like the art glitter glue. You can use like an Aleene's glue, but it does put out a big bead, so you need to make it skinnier somehow with your finger or a tool or something. And the reason why you want it skinny is to leave enough room in your pocket for what you want to put in it. And I want to mention that I saw this fold, this original fold on a video from this hysterical crafter. I love her. I think her name is Julie, and it's Camilla Crafts, and I bet you all know her. She's quite popular, and she's really funny, and she makes some lovely, lovely things. And I originally saw this fold on her video. So now we're going to take the next piece and we're going to do essentially the same thing. This is going to be our back cover. Here I'm just pointing out, if you have any scrapbook papers that have a pattern that faces directionally, then just be sure you have it facing the right way. And I should have shown you earlier, but if you want to ink those little half circles, go ahead and do that before you glue down your papers. It's easier. You can still do it after by sticking in like a scrap sheet in between, you know, so that you're not getting ink where you don't want it to, but it's just more fussy and harder. Well, you know, not harder, but just more of a pain. So doing the same thing on the other side, putting a skinny bead of glue down the 3 sides. And in this case, you want that bead of glue on the left of the score line and not into the score line, so that you make everything fold really nicely without having to crush it down later with a bone folder, mashing it down. So now it's going to fold real nicely. And also I wanted to mention what I keep doing here with my fingers, and you may want to opt to use like a baby wipe or a cloth that's wet. Just wipe off any glue so that you don't accidentally seal your other flaps shut. And then flip it over and wipe off the glue on the back too, just in case any kind of like came out the sides. And now here we're putting it all together. So you've got your front cover, you got your first page with a pocket, your second page with a pocket, and your last page and your back cover, and then your front cover again. And you can pull it out like this, like an accordion, or you can just turn it like you would in a normal journal, one page after the other. So next we're going to decorate, and at first, because I just was sort of thinking I'd do something easy and kind of, you know, take it easy and just play with some pre-made die cuts I got at Hobby Lobby. I thought I would just sort of play with collaging and arrange them and put them down, but I ended up doing a little bit more than that. I ended up giving them some color. I inked around the edges of them and also used the oxides to give them a little color, some green on the grass and some of the rusty hinge on the body, and it just gives them that kind of like vintage photo look. Not the ink, I don't mean the ink color that Tim Holtz uses, that everybody knows as kind of a household name that's in this craft. I mean like true vintage photos, you know how they have that sort of dusty pastel look to them. Anyhow, so yeah, I ended up using some of the die cuts real simply and just putting them down. And then in other cases, I decided to use some of my packaging that I mass make bases with, and I do have a video on that, and I can link that at the end and show you if I didn't mention that earlier. But anyway, I ended up using some of those and decorating them. I'll show you that coming up as well. And here I'm just playing around with what I think looks pretty on the back. And I just left this in just so you can see kind of my thought process and what I end up choosing and what I end up doing in the end and what I end up rejecting. And of course, beauty is in the eye of each beholder, but sometimes it's fun to see what others do. So on the backs of these pre-made die cut pieces, like ephemera pieces that I got from Hobby Lobby, I just go over them real sloppily or carelessly. I don't really, you know, do it too, I do ink blend very well and very nicely, but in this case, I just go over them haphazardly and just give them some color to discolor the white and make it light enough that I can still journal on the back. Now, if you have anything like this, these are just background stamps. I love background stamps, but I have to say, if I'm going to keep making videos for you and playing with journals and hopefully selling my journals, I need to up my game and beef up my stash because I feel a little repetitive with my background stamps with you, so I will get some more background stamps. But these are really tried and true and really pretty. So anyways, I use them a lot and I get such great bang for my buck because you can do so much with them. And in this case, I'm just going over the packaging that I made and the bases that I mass make, and I'm just going over it with different background stamps and not being fussy at all, just going over it with different colors and different stamps. And then because I want to use them right away, I did use my heat tool to dry them. But if you wanted to do this at night, let's say, and let them sit overnight, they'd be fine in the morning if you don't have one of those heat tools. Hair dryers work as well. And if your papers start to warp, a little trick is to flip them over and heat up the back, and you'll notice that it will warp the opposite way. Also, papers are just fibers, tree pulp, so you can just take your hands and softly manipulate your papers back into the shapes that you want them as well. So here I'm using a vintage book page, and I wanted to show you if you're interested. Yeah, see, I thought I would just, do something easy and play with Hobby Lobby pre-made die cuts. Who am I kidding? No, that didn't suffice. I had to get into doing detail work. What's wrong with me? Anyways, no, I had a lot of fun. But my intention was to be just kind of laid back a little bit more. But I wanted to show you, you can take these black and white images if you want, and you can color them and then test out the paper, because if it's a dry, brittle paper, it's going to take the ink really a little more like hard, let's say. Test it somewhere first, because you can make blotches you don't intend on wanting. But if the paper is slippery or plasticky or even glossy, it's going to take the ink really well and be forgiving, and you can move it around with your finger or a tool if you don't like getting your hands dirty. You can use something else like a microfiber wipe or a dry baby wipe or something like that. And I think wet baby wipes too will move ink around nicely on some surfaces. But anyway, see how pretty that comes out, that image? It would be lovely black and white, but I just love to add color. I couldn't stop, I just couldn't help myself. And then I added a digital image too. But that digital image is from the Graphics Fairy. And I mention them a lot because I'm fairly new to YouTube, and I just used to do this for fun. And so I pay the Graphics Fairy and as a member, and I can print there freely. But I mention them to you for two reasons, because you can do that as well if you want to. I don't get endorsed or paid or anything like that. I'm just telling you where these things come from. But you can also print free things from there. And I used to do that, but then I kind of got, like, ooh, want these other things too. So I beefed it up and got the membership. But anyways, you can go there and print things for free as well. So that's where that came from. And I'm just doing little collage work with it and going around that to pop it out a little bit more with a black permanent marker and creating a little tag. Here I'm doing the same with some other tags. And I cut out the owl and collaged with that, and cut out the little butterfly and red tag and collaged with that. And for my little tag toppers, I just punched holes and used some eyelash trim and some yarn that I got from a thrift store. I can't remember if I moved things around or not in the end, but maybe you've noticed from watching the flip through in the beginning. But anyhow, So now the last thing I'll do is continue with this deer and make the final tag, and that'll be the end of that. And here is the little preview of this upcoming journal I'm going to make and have videos on. And just thought I'd give you a little sneak peek of the stage that it is at right now. And I found this really pretty placemat, this really beautiful hand beaded placemat at a thrift store. Well, it's not a thrift store, at a lovely shop that has antiques and new things in Dover, New Hampshire, called Just the Thing, in case anyone knows it. But anyway, and I really wanted to make a journal with it. So this one is for sale when it's finished. In case anybody's interested, you could always DM me on Instagram. But this is just the beginning stage of it. And what I wanted to do was dye papers and use greeting cards. Greeting cards that I've had in my stash for a long time. I'm somewhat of a greeting card snob. I like really pretty, nice, thick paper greeting cards with lovely graphics and imagery or illustrations on them. I can't lie. And so I've got a bunch that I just never sent out or goofed up on, like that one, and wanted to use them up and make a journal. And this journal, my intention is sort of, the theme is sort of for a garden. And it could be to plan out a flower garden, like a cut flower garden you do, or a vegetable flower garden. Would also just be great as a summer or fall journal. But my thought, really my intention was for a garden, and I was going to include some papers in there to some grid papers to even to draw out your garden if you wish. And all these other papers I salt dyed, and I have a video on how I do that as well if you're interested. And I did sort of punch the edges of some of the papers too to make them a little more decorative, and I'll probably paint or ink those to pop those edges out. And these papers I mentioned a moment ago, I mass make them with ink, and it's really fast, and I use salt. But I have a video front to back showing you, the full tutorial. But yeah, so if you're interested, I'll have more videos on this journal coming up as well. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there and staying with me if you did, and for all your kind comments. And I'm so thrilled to be back. Thank you so much. And I'll see you again. Bye.